Fire Emblem Fates, like most Fire Emblem games, has a cast where certain characters are story-wise more important and therefore more powerful than other units. Take Ryoma and Camilla as an example. In their respective paths, most people utilize them frequently because they're overall just designed to be better than others. So how about we just ditch the entire royal family? That'd be fun. Let's get into the specifics of how this will work. The nobles are not allowed to engage in combat, activate dragon veins, perform rallies and dances, or be used to carry items. They can, however, move around, pair up, and be deployed. So with that, let's begin. Selecting Hard Classic, I begin by creating a personalized avatar for fun. I'll be choosing the branch of fate for each route, so the stats won't really matter for this Corrin. The game starts off with the prologue being a flash-forward dream sequence as a tutorial, previously seen in Fire Emblem Awakening. Since it technically doesn't happen, it doesn't count.
Time to wake up.
We are woken up by an entire 4 people, here to deliver the information that Xander, our older brother, is waiting for us to spar. This would be the battle for Chapter 1, where the only characters on the field for either side are nobles. So we attack Xander, failing the challenge. Thanks for watching. Yeah, no, this chapter just flat out is not possible. After the chapter battle, we speak with Leo and Xander, who complements our swordsmanship and are also introduced to Camilla and Elise, both of which, naturally, fawn over us for being a Corrin. Elise, when do you intend to behave like the adult that you technically are? That's an interesting piece of dialogue. We also make sure to let you know that we're incredibly sheltered and lost our memory an unspecified amount of time ago. But now we can leave the fortress. We stop by Lilith before we leave.
I'm so happy for you.
She, like the rest of the cast, loves... Chapter 2 starts with us getting to greet King Garen, who generously gifts us some otherworldly looking sword, and requests us to use it to kill war prisoners. In this map, you're intended to use the dragon vein to remove the rubble and reveal the heal tiles in the middle. We of course cannot do that. A fortunate side effect of that is that it separates Rinka and Kaze's troops, making them easier to deal with. Putting Gunter on the front lines, Jacob close by to support him, and Corrin out of enemy range, this chapter was entirely possible to beat without any nobles. However, it could have probably been a bit easier if I had picked male Corrin to get Felicia, because Jacob's skill does nothing to help here, and also won't in the future. After the battle, we are ordered to actually finish off the prisoners, which we actively refuse and defend them instead. To preserve Corrin's pure motives and morality, Leo pretends to have taken them out. Garen says we'll talk about it later and just leaves. We release the prisoners, where one claims that next time we meet, it will be a time where we pay for this humiliation, while Corrin says she hopes it will be as friends. In Chapter 3, Elise comes with us to help apologize, but we hear Garen laughing even though he's by himself. Interesting. We are granted leeway, but Garen assigns us a mission for a crime to be pardoned in full, which he claims contains no battle. We are to inspect a Hushidan fortress, accompanied by Hans, a criminal war veteran. The missionary is by the bottomless canyon, which is said to be... bottomless. And as it turns out, the fortress actually wasn't abandoned. As we're about to retreat and report the incident, Hans just goes right ahead and starts killing Hoshidan soldiers. So we end up having to fight anyway. In this map, we yet again have only Gunter and Jacob to work with. This mostly is not a problem, but the only way across is either by fighting through a herd of archers or using a dragon vein to create a bridge. While Hans can sometimes make his way to the archers, he dies too fast to make enough progress for me to get through, so a dragon vein will unfortunately have to be used. After activating it, I keep Gunter in enemy range to lure and take enemies out, while Jacob stands back to heal Gunter. We do not have a second healer or vulneraries yet, so for Jacob to heal, he has to stand on healing terrain. Luckily, there is a fort to the south. I completely forgot about a bunch of Pegasus flyers that appear after a while, and they scare me at first due to Jacob's positioning, but he fortunately survives. The boss on this map is not on any kind of healing tile, so I chip at his HP and retreat to heal out the fort to save my resources. I then defeat him and seize to complete the map. Sizer then appears, but so does Xander, so we head back. Gunter remarks that he can't stand being on this bridge anymore, so like a real pal, Hans helps him out with that. Corrin gets angry about this and plays out the Dragon Fang skill animation on Hans, who claims he was just following orders and runs away. The incredibly evil looking sword Corrin has drags her into the canyon, but Lilith jumps in to rescue her while transforming into a fish. We are however reminded about the fact that Corrin is so absurdly sheltered that she does not know fish from bird, because according to this dialogue, this was the form Lilith was in when she was rescued as a quote-unquote bird. Lilith opens a pocket dimension that she just had lying around apparently, to take us into where we can rest. Afterward, Lilith warns us that we will return to where we entered, by the Hoshidan border, and that Hoshidan soldiers may lie in wait for that one soldier who mysteriously disappeared into thin air accompanied by a flying fish. Corrin returns, looks around, and yet is still somehow taken by surprise anyway. In Chapter 4, we wake up in the only physical location of the Flame Tribe depicted in this game, a generic house. beside Rinka, one of the war prisoners we released. It's very hard to go unconscious from blunt force trauma to the head without brain damage, which as noted by other players could possibly explain some of Corrin's odd behavior and actions in certain routes. Or maybe everything past this point is just a dream. The flying fish in the pocket dimension was before this though, so what do I know? She and Kaze plan to hand us over to the Hoshidan authorities, where Corrin expects to be executed but is instead greeted by a woman who claims to be her mother and starts touching her. Here we got to know Corrin lore, that King Garen once lured out King Sumeragi, who brought Corrin too for some reason, and kidnapped Corrin, meaning that Corrin is actually Hoshidan royalty. However, in the middle of the reunion, a Hoshidan soldier reports that they are under attack from the north, where the royal sisters Sakura and Hinoka are situated, and we are requested to assist. In this map, we have Rinka and Kaze as our available units, and there's a nearby village we can obtain a goddess icon from. Ryoma is a green unit in this map, so he doesn't count towards the challenge restrictions. He will rush toward Hinoka and Sakura and obliterates anything in his way like usual. Once he gets to Hinoka, or where she's supposed to be, he'll become stationary there, so it's important to make him defeat as many faceless as possible on his way, since there's no access to renewable or high quantity healing items. Rinka, having higher defense, is who I primarily had as the main attacker. Meanwhile, Kaze would be there to pair up attack and debuff with a shuriken when possible. Unfortunately, these faces on the mountain don't move before you get in range, so Ryoma just walked right past them. One of them has an annoying poison strike skill as well, with the boss having seal strength to make things more bothersome. With a little bit of luck, being misses on attacks towards Rinka, I beat the map with only one vulnerary use left. After the battle, Hinoka cries upon seeing us because she became a warrior in the first place just to get us back. We get filled in on that the combat zombies are sent from Nor, and that Mikoto has set up some magical barrier that makes regular people lose the will to fight. Mikoto also takes us to what was our room, but we remember nothing because of the random amnesia and the fact that we were probably like a toddler or something when we were kidnapped. Mikoto is such a caring mother and crucial to Hoshido's defenses. I sure hope nothing bad happens to her. While just chilling outside, we hear a woman sing an interesting song, one with the ability to affect most Fire Emblem YouTubers. I, however, am currently immune to the copyright claim status effect. Talking to her, we discover she's Azura, who's in the same situation as us, just the other way around. She wasn't very guarded because of a whole bunch of stuff regarding the Norian family, and was therefore easily kidnapped by Hoshida ninjas. But I just don't really see what they were trying to achieve here by doing that. You would think you'd counter-kidnap to trade, but I guess either Garen just didn't care, or maybe it was some really odd way of getting revenge or something, I don't know. Corrin otherwise ponders with her over what to feel about it all. In chapter 5, we're talking to Mikoto again, who mentions that sitting on the throne lets someone regain their true form and mind. But Corrin gets a little offended at the thought, so we don't do it. Yukimura, the strategist, tells us the ceremony to declare that Corrin is Hoshidan royalty is about to begin, and all the royals head to the capital. Takumi also makes it abundantly clear that he does not like you or Azura. The ceremony is about to start. However, that sinister sword that tried to pull us into certain death a couple chapters earlier, that we didn't at all consider to get rid of for some reason, flies off to some shadow man who uses it to take out several civilians in an explosion, but also Mikoto, who in a truly shocking turn of events, sacrifices her life for Corrin. Corrin gets angry again, but fully turns into a dragon this time. In this map, there are multiple mercenaries with Wormslayer and mages, both of which Corrin is weak to, despite her dragon form having increased stats. Corrin is also under-leveled due to a lack of combat, and also cannot pair up as a dragon either, which puts her at risk. Out of the 5 characters we get, only 2 are non-royals, and while Sakura and Azura's personal skills are useful, they were really not enough. I made several attempts on this map, but Rinka having more defense than Kaze doesn't mean that she has good defense, and her weapon triangle disadvantage isn't helping either. Ryoma is on this map as a green unit as well, but here he just dies after a few turns. And everyone except for the stationary Shadow Man only target controllable characters, and therefore will never die to anyone other than these characters. At some point I tried to just face in a few royals, still trying to keep the amount of them to the lowest possible, but it just still wasn't enough. And because of that, I wound up with 13 total tries on this map, but just had to play it the regular way on the last try to even beat it at all. In order to beat this map using only Rinka and Kaze, you will need RNG that varies from unrealistic to borderline impossible. Afterwards, Azura sings her magic song to calm Corrin down. And it's enough to make her de-transform, and she suddenly remembers the details surrounding Sumeragi and his murder.
Orphaned at such a tender young age. You are my child now.
She expresses being upset that she attacked her allies, and Takumi being reasonably upset with Korin since all this did happen because Korin decided to keep that dumb sword that already tried to kill her once before. Yukimura, however, says that Mikoto foresaw her own death, just not how or when, and to look at the ruined statue where the divine sword Yato was chilling for some reason, and flies into Korin's hand because she's Korin. Kaze reports that there's a Norian force gathering at the border, and Izura gives Korin a dragonstone to control her dragon form, which Korin doesn't at all wonder how she even has, or how she knows about any of this since Yukimura and Ryoma clearly don't. And finally, chapter 6 starts. We are met with Xander, who claims they're here on Garen's orders, that it just so happens now is the time to show their strength. Both armies argue on where Korin truly belongs, who Korin's siblings are, which country is her home, and Korin must make an important decision that will forever change the course of everyone's lives.
Join Smash!
Next up in this series will naturally be Birthright, followed by the Conquest and Revelation routes. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment if you like this video or just have something to add, and I'll probably see you again fairly soon.